St. John for Window Nation. Do you know why I'm glad home shows are at this time of year? Because brutally cold weather really shows you where your home needs improvement, especially your windows. Do they feel cold? Are they steamy or frosted? Can you feel a draft? You need to call Window Nation, the experts of window replacements. And now is the best time because Window Nation's virtual home show extravaganza brings the limited time savings right to you. Call today and get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy with no limit. Plus, make no down payment, no payments, and pay no interest for 24 months. Window Nation, 866-90-NATION, or go online to windownation.com/home show. Window Nation will come to you with beautiful ways to improve your home and save you thousands of dollars. With natural gas prices skyrocketing, now's the time to call. Buy 2, get 2 free with no limit and pay nothing for 2 full years. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com/home show and tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
Valerie Clark here, future owner of Unlimited RV, a proud family-owned business ever since I can remember. My family started out renting RVs in my driveway in the suburbs of Kansas City when I was just 9 years old. Now, I just graduated high school and Unlimited RV has become Kansas City's highest-rated RV dealer with an expanding service center, a brand new sales center, and 10 acres of campers to choose from. My family is stoked for the opportunity to exceed your RV sales and service needs as we continue to grow as an Unlimited RV family.
Go to unlimitedrv.com.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. As 2022 kicks into high gear,
all right, boys,
let's
got
turn
1
the
minute.
corner together and make it one for the record books. Our community has weathered some strong storms over the past 2 years. As we come out of this, let's rally around one another. Support your local businesses and support local jobs. You know how important this is to all of us. Together, we can make KC a better place for all of us. Keep it local, Kansas City. Check us out at opakc.com.
Kansas City's home of the Jayhawks, March Madness, and the Final Four. Sports Radio 810, WHB.
Jalen ahead to Oates. Right-hand runner good. He caught it. He shot it. And Bruce Weber wants a timeout.
Saturday at 7, Kansas faces Baylor. Coverage of Kansas basketball on Sports Radio 810 WHB is brought to you by Hy-Vee, Buck Roofing, Harry's Brewery Collection, Victory Ford, and 23rd Street Brewery.
Sports Talk powered by fans. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades. Track Talk. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott Traylor, along with my partner, Kirk Elliott. It's good to see him across from me, as we only work together 1 day a week, and it's good to see your mug there, Kirk. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, but I listen to your show every day.
I know. Well, you sit right over there and watch us do the show every day.
Just to kind of be around.
Just kind of hang out a little bit, yeah.
Hover over you.
Yeah.
Make sure you're doing everything right.
Oh, is that what you do? Right?
No.
You make sure I'm doing everything right. Kirk.
That's a lie.
He's got to be on top of things all the time.
That's just here to help.
Man, we've got a lot going on this show this week, Kirk. We've had an exceptional week of guests on Mostly Motorsports. Folks, if you haven't heard, I do a Mostly Motorsports podcast daily, Monday through Friday. It starts at 12 noon Central Time, and it airs from about noon till 1:15, whatever. We just kind of go until we're tired of talking, and then we get off the air. But anyway, we've had a lot of great guests on, and we're going to play some of those interviews that we did this week. Devin Moran, Brian Dunlap, late model driver Devin Moran, by the way. From Dirt Vision, Brian Dunlap, the winner of the King of the 360s last weekend, Sam Hafertepe. Bob Baker from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Emerson Axsom, who picked up the Gator down there in Florida. Also, Mike Franks. We'll talk a little bit about drag racing up at US 36 at the drag strip. And then finally, but last but not least, our friend from Lakeside Speedway, Darren Bennett. We'll have some sound from those guys as well. How you been anyway, Kirk?
Yeah, Emerson Axum actually was the big guy at the Winter Dirt Games. Up
The
at,
Dirt Games,
Bubba,
that's it. The
Bubba
Bubba- the
Raceway
Bubba,
Park. He owned Bubba Raceway Park.
I don't know why I said the Gator.
He won 2 out of 3 up there and looked good doing it.
Yeah.
So he's hadn't been in a wing sprint car or a non-wing sprint car all that much, and showed his hand up there. Just 17 years old, by the way.
Kirk, we really haven't had a chance here on Track Talk to talk about the Daytona 500, which was last week. What'd you think about it?
Well, it was an interesting race. Of course, we all went into it with a lot of questions in our mind just about this new race car and how everything would look as far as the drafting and the pit stops and so forth. And, it wasn't the greatest Daytona 500 we've ever seen, but certainly at the end of the race, it was exciting as per usual at Daytona. We saw an exciting finish. And Austin Cindric coming through with the victory, and to me, it was well-earned, well-deserved. He didn't just fall into it. He was one of the leaders all day up there, and he was the guy at the front at the end, so congratulations to him. Good job.
Kirk, I think it was a little better than you're giving it credit for. So many of the Daytona 500s and races at Talladega that we've watched over the years, there's a long segment of single-file racing.
Yeah.
And we didn't see a lot of that. There was a lot of side-by-side racing. There was a moment there where they went single-file. I think that might have been right after Harrison Burton got upside down. They went single-file and raced for a little bit. But other than that, I think it was a pretty good race. There was a lot of good cars taken out of the race. There were some guys that I thought had a chance to win that were taken out. Denny Hamlin is one of those guys.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was another one.
Ricky looked like he had a chance to win. And listen, Harrison Burton looked like he had a fast enough car to win as well.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He would have been another rookie up there fighting for the win. The Rookie of the Year battle is going to be pretty good this year when you got guys like Austin Cindric and Harrison Burton going at it.
And for the people that bet on Kyle Larson to win that race, they were pretty disappointed as well.
Well, you and I never thought he was going to be a player. I didn't think he would be. Restrictor plate race.
Now,
I still call him
Kurt,
restrictor
hold on
plate
a second.
tracks.
First of all,
I didn't think he would be a player in that race.
Listen, that is the most asinine thing maybe you've said in 22 years of being on this radio.
I didn't think he had a chance to win.
Kyle Larson has a chance to win anywhere. He's the best driver in the world right now.
He is, but at these
why would
tracks,
if you're the greatest driver in the world right now, why would you think he doesn't have a chance?
Because he hasn't finished up had a chance to win any of these plate races in his career yet.
Did you realize? Did you see where he started?
Yeah, but
hold on.
Qualifying doesn't matter.
Kurt.
It doesn't matter.
He was the fastest car.
Sure, but you have to agree with me that he was not one of the favorites to win this race. He was not.
I think if you would have went to Vegas and look at the odds on people that had a chance to win the race, I think Kyle Larson would probably be at the top of the list. After winning 10 races last year in a championship, there's no way in the world, and he's starting on the pole of the Daytona 500, there's no way in the world that you can't think that he doesn't have a chance to win the race.
But these big speedway races were not ones that he did well in.
It doesn't matter what he's done in the past, it's what he does in the future, Kurt. It's nothing matters.
But the bottom line is, I didn't think he had a shot to win that race on Sunday. He was not among the favorites in my book to win that race. He was not.
You're one of the few people that didn't think he had.
Well, for a number of reasons. It's not all his fault, but I didn't think the Chevrolets were in the same ballpark as Toyota, or even the Fords, or even Toyota.
You can't say he was among the favorites. Austin Cindric wasn't among the favorites, and he won.
Yeah, Austin Cindric wasn't one of the favorites.
Well, I thought all of the Penske cars were among the favorites to win, because they were Fords and they had qualified.
Austin, let me just tell you, when Kirk gets this hard head like this right now,
I'm just telling you.
I'm just listen. I've been on the air with him now for 22 years, right? We've been doing this together for a long time. When he makes his mind up, and he gets that extremely thick skull that he's got over there, you're not going to change his mind.
I would have been shocked had Kyle Larson won last Sunday. Shocked.
Would you have been shocked, Austin?
No.
No.
Because he ran in the top 10 last year with at the 500.
The car had the speed too.
Yeah. And like I'm watching the highlights here, and at the first part of the race, he didn't run up in the front, and then towards where he got the accident with Harvick, he was in the top 10. So it showed the long run speed as the race went on was there.
Right. Kirk,
you're not going to change my mind. I just didn't think he had a chance to win that race, and it was proven out to be true. He got caught up in that wreck at the end, which I don't blame him for that. He had a run to the outside and got,
spit it out, Kirk.
When the cars ahead of him got slowed up a little bit, he got caught up in all that. So he did have a chance to finish in the top 10. I'm not saying that. But to win the race, no, I didn't think Kyle Larson had a chance to win that race last Sunday. And I was proven out to be right about that.
He was one of the few that didn't think he had a chance to win, isn't he, Austin?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. You're not going to change his mind because he's got this extremely thick
He never finished
skull.
in the top. He hasn't finished in the top 5 of a Speedway race yet in his career. So until he does that and runs up front and leads these races on a consistent basis, no, I'm not going to pick him to win at either Talladega or Daytona. Not yet.
Kirk, he was the fastest car on the racetrack. He out-qualified every Ford.
But qualifying doesn't really matter in these races.
You got to have speed in your car in order to win those races.
You got to race well too.
You didn't see a guy starting 40th win.
Yeah. Right. Who started 40th?
That's a good question. I know BJ McLeod started 37th, and he didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is usually if you have a fast car, you've got a chance to win the race. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'm just being honest that he was not among my top 5 or 6 guys that I thought was going to win the race.
Austin, can you look up the odds on what they were to win the Daytona 500 for me? And let me know where Kyle Larson ranked.
I would have chosen any of the Penske drivers ahead of Kyle Larson.
Right.
I would have chosen even Kevin Harvick with a better chance to win than Kyle Larson, and all of the Gibbs cars with a better chance to win than Kyle Larson. Or Chase Elliott, for that matter. So,
right. Well, all I know is that Brad Keselowski didn't make any friends.
And I would have chosen Brad Keselowski as a greater favorite to win than Kyle Larson.
Well, he ran 9th, Kirk.
Well, he had a chance to win going in.
Well, but he started 3rd and he ran 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had a better chance to win than Kyle Larson.
What were the odds, Austin?
So if you look at the TV up there,
right,
that's our odds. And Kyle Larson was like 3rd at plus 1,000.
Look at there, Kirk.
Yeah.
3rd favorite to win that race.
I'm just giving you my opinion, that's all.
All right. Okay.
I would have been shocked to see Kyle Larson win.
So you're thinking
Daytona 500.
you thought Austin Cindric had a better chance to win than Kyle Larson?
Yes, I did, because I thought the Fords and the Penske guys that
I can't believe he's even saying this.
That they would had a better chance to race with each other better than what Kyle Larson had to help him get up to the front.
Yeah, Todd.
Yeah, Larson was 10-1. So I mean, it wasn't like. So you're looking at Chase Elliott 10-1, Joey Logano 11-1.
But he was still the 3rd most favorite driver.
So I mean, but
win.
he was grouped in with that group of people that.
So Kirk is I'll say it.
I'm just giving you my
hold
opinion.
on, Todd. Now tell me if I'm right, because you've been here 10 years now. Kirk Elliott is always the non-typical guy in the room, isn't he?
I'm just giving you my opinion.
90% of the time, he is non-typical.
Joey Logano, if you look at those drivers on that list that we're showing here for those of you watching online, I would have taken Denny Hamlin. I would have chosen Brad Keselowski. I would have taken Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and Austin Cindric, who eventually won the race, all ahead of Kyle Larson to win Daytona 500.
I think 3 of those guys you just mentioned right there all crashed in one crash.
Well,
right,
that happens.
Yeah, not any of those guys finished up towards the front.
Right.
Just so you know, Kurt. All your picks crashed out.
But they all ran up towards the front for portions of that race.
Larson was running up there, wasn't he? He was kind of like in 5th, 6th, 7th place when he crashed out. I think he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was like 3rd or 4th on the outside.
Now,
though.
could he have gained a top 10, maybe even a top 5 finish? Sure. But did I think he had a chance to win the race? No, I do not.
Well, you're silly. That's all I can say.
There's the odds right there. We're pulling them up now.
Right.
The odds.
Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin 9-1, Chase Elliott 10-1, Kyle Larson 10-1, Joey Logano 11-1, Ryan Blaney 12-1, Brad Keselowski 14-1, and it just keeps going down the list. But Kyle Larson was the 3rd most favorite driver.
Now we're going into
Cindric
Fontana.
was 30-1,
Right.
Kirk.
Now we're going into
You
Fontana.
should have bet on him because you thought he could have won.
Well, he would have been a great bet. Absolutely.
That would have been some awesome money.
That
right
would
there.
have been a great bet. Would have been a
Driving
good
for
bet.
That'd been a great one.
Yeah.
in a good car. I really thought that Ryan Blaney, he was my pick to win the race, and he had a chance.
That was
there
my
at the
pick
end.
too. Blaney and Harvick were on Scott's page that he posted. I had Blaney 1, Harvick 2, and both of them got caught up in that.
Marie says fastest doesn't mean you win Daytona or Talladega. No, but when you are the fastest, it means you are the fastest.
I'm just telling you what I believe. I just didn't think that Kyle Larson was among the top half dozen favorites to win that race going in.
All right, well, let's do
I just
something
didn't
here.
think. Now,
All
this weekend at Fontana, different story. I'm picking Kyle Larson to win tomorrow at Fontana.
Now he's going to get in the boat.
Why is that? Because we're in a different kind of racing right now. We're in Kyle Larson's wheelhouse where he doesn't need help to get up to the front. He's going to have a fast car. He's a great driver, a place he's won at before, and I'm picking Kyle Larson to win at Fontana tomorrow. How about that?
All right, well, let's make our picks. We'll write it down, and we'll come back to this next week.
Right.
And see who's right.
Right. Well, it would be hard to pick against Kyle Larson out there in Fontana.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But if you don't think that Kyle Larson can win at a restrictor plate, you're a fool.
He's got to show me.
You're a fool.
He's not been a great speedway. Bubba Larson has been a better speedway racer than Kyle Larson here in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth.
Bubba Larson.
I mean, Bubba Wallace, I mean to say.
You said Larson.
Well, I stand corrected.
Right.
Bubba Wallace has been a better speedway racer than Kyle Larson the last couple of years.
Well,
and that's a fact.
Brad Keselowski is a pretty good restrictor plate racer, but he knocked everybody out of the way. He didn't make many friends.
Yeah, no, he did. He's you ask Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Harrison Burton what they think of Brad Keselowski, that you're not going to get
Marie
very good
says
answers.
she's glad it wasn't Larson. You tired of watching Larson win? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I think that's what she's saying.
You go to these road courses, and you got to pick Kyle Larson to win, or any of the intermediate racetracks, or even the short tracks. Where Kyle Larson.
They're not on a road course this weekend.
No, but
you just said road course.
Any other type of racetrack that is out there, Kyle Larson's got to be the favorite. He's won on the intermediate tracks like we're going to see this weekend. He's won on the road courses and even on the short tracks. He won at Bristol last September. So any other type of racetrack, Larson has got it going on, but not the speedway tracks right now, not Talladega and Daytona. Kyle Larson has not proven that he can run up front and have a chance to win those races yet.
He's the best driver in the world, Kirk.
Yet.
If you don't think that he can win at a restrictor plate race,
He's
you're
not
a fool.
done it yet.
So you're saying a Kings Royal, a Knoxville Nationals champion can't win a super speedway race?
Well, he's got to show me. He's not run up front with a chance to win either at Talladega or Daytona.
Oh, my gosh.
yet. Now, can that happen in the future? Absolutely, he can get it down and happen in the future. He just hasn't proven he can do it yet.
You're a train wreck, Kirk. Anybody that thinks that Kyle Larson can't win at a restrictor plate race is...
He's not even running the top 5 at any of those racetracks yet.
Well, it's because he's crashed out. How many other people haven't won at Daytona because they've crashed out, Kirk?
But he's never had a...
Tony Stewart, one of the greatest drivers of all time, never won the Daytona 500.
But Tony Stewart did win 4 times actually the summer race at Daytona.
Yeah, but he
And
never won the 500.
And he won at Talladega.
He never won the 500.
You also got to think about it. He ran for Chip Ganassi, too. I mean, you got a 1-car team or 2-car team.
Right.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, the second car was
Now,
crashed
I'm not
out.
saying-
Well, hold on, though. To be fair with that, though, Jamie McMurray won the Brickyard 400 and the Daytona 500 in the same year.
He did. 2010.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that Kyle Larson will never get to that point to where he can win Daytona and Talladega. I'm going to predict someday he will. But as of now, he's not gotten his speedway part of it down yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where he's up there at the level of Brad Keselowski, for instance, as a great super speedway racer. He's not there yet.
Well, he is the heavy favorite to win this weekend in Fontana.
I would say so, yeah. I would pick him to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a different story beginning this weekend. Las Vegas next weekend, where he won a year ago. All these racetracks coming up. He won at Phoenix last fall, so this is the time when Kyle Larson's going to step up and show why he's the champion right now.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about some grassroots racing. Last night, Cody Overton picked up the Extreme Dirt Kart Series win down at, what is the name of that track? Livonia
Speedway.
Speedway in Georgia. He picked up the win last night. Wasn't a lot of big name guys down there last night, was there, Kirk?
No, it was an Extreme Dirt Car Series that was held down there. So, and I'd never seen Cody Overton run. I guess that's Brandon Overton's brother.
It is. But let me tell you something. There's so many options, I should say, right now with the World of Outlaw late models, with the Lucas Oil late model series, with the Extreme Dirt Car Series. There's so many options for late model drivers now that I'm not sure that you're going to see a lot of guys just run for points in any one of those series. There's so much money out there. I think that you're going to see a lot of these late model guys run outlaw schedules, run wherever they need to run to win the big money races. I gotta feel that with all the options, it's going to kind of fracture the late model scene a little bit. What do you think, Kurt?
Yeah, because they've got a lot more options now, and World of Outlaws has put up more money for their championships. So, yeah, you're going to see a lot of these guys go chasing the big money shows.
Just the money.
And just go wherever that's at. Because they've got a lot of options now.
Right.
They can race for. So.
Kirk, what do you think about USMTS now going to pay $100,000 to win the national championship in the national USMTS ranks? What do you think about that?
That's big money. There's no doubt about it. With the fewer number of events that
Right.
they've got on the USMTS tour this year, bigger money shows where a lot of these guys can race 2 or 3 nights for the weekend, they're going to get some high-quality guys go for that season championship because of the way the schedule is structured. They only got to go to 35 weekends of racing this year in order to
Right.
get that, and then they can get 2 or 3 nights at the same racetrack and cut the travel expenses down by quite a bit.
Well, you know my opinion on this. I just think that when you offer $100,000 to win a national championship, that you're going to get a lot of professional race car drivers over there, and you'll probably see some guys like a Terry Phillips maybe run for that USMTS national championship. I think they've only had 7 different champions over there with USMTS through the years. I just think that it's just driving up the cost of modified racing. A-mod racing is just through the roof, and I beat this horse all the time, and I get it, right? A-mods are just getting so expensive. You know, when you go out and you buy one of these elite cars like an MB Custom type car, they're $35,000 just for a roller with no shocks, no engine, no transmission. Then you got to buy 2 motors that are at least $25,000 a piece. Then you got to buy the transmission. You got to buy all the shocks and everything. By the time you're said and done with the modified, you're going to have about $60,000 in a car. And when you start throwing this kind of money around, $100,000 to win a championship, $10,000 to win, I don't know, what is it, 20 some of the races that they're going to run this year, I just think that it's just running the cost up of modified racing right now.
Yeah, and this year is going to be, and I say keep the travel costs down. Unfortunately,
well, there's the other issue.
Fuel costs are going to go through the roof this year.
Hotels,
it's high right now.
Hotels,
but the fuel costs are going to go out of sight.
Hotels and fuel are going to be astronomical this year. I just paid $3.49 for gas,
and it's going up.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's going to be a real problem. The fuel costs toting these cars around the country this year, and it's going to have an impact. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Lee Spencer's going to join us in the second hour. She'll be on live with us, but we also got sound from Mostly Motorsports from this week with Devin Moran, Brian Dunlap, Sam Haferteep, Bob Baker, Emerson Axum, Mike Franks, and Darren Bennett. All of that is next right here on Track Talk, and it's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
I'm Fred Ramsey. And I'm Mark Tobin. Hey, folks, if you're not busy Saturday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m., well, I hope you'll join us for the Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet St. Joe.
Join us and our expert guests, and we'll be talking about hunting and fishing, dog training. We'll give you tips, pass along stories, and most important, share some laughs along the way.
That's right. We cover it all, from crappie to waterfowl, and we'll tell you how to cook it, too.
The Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet, Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Jayhawk fans, season tickets for the 2022 Kansas football season are on sale for as low as $185. We need you in the booth waving the wheat this fall and supporting Coach Leipold and the Jayhawks. Get your tickets now at kuathletics.com/tickets or by calling 800-34-HAWKS.
To the end zone, he's in! Touchdown Jayhawks!
So spring is just around the corner, and if you've been having issues with your furnace, now's the best time of the year to replace it. It's Free Furnace Month at Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. When you replace your system, your furnace is free. Don't wait and pay more. Save your money for March Madness and get the ball rolling on your free furnace. Trust me, I trusted Anthony, and I have a new system, and you should too. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
Get ready for the weekend with great specials at your local Henhouse Market. Certified USDA choice Hereford beef T-bone steaks, just $7.99 a pound. Or how about porterhouse steaks, just $8.99 a pound. Fresh 80% lean ground chuck, ground fresh several times each day, is only $3.99 a pound. Or why not some fresh Seabest Easy Peel white shrimp? They're buy one, get one free. And of course, start the weekend right with a stop at Harry's Brewery. It's the spot to get all the best specials on your craft and domestic beer favorites. Visit henhouse.com for these specials and more. Henhouse, serving your family since 1923.
A winning game plan doesn't just
60 seconds,
magically
fellas.
happen. Whether we're talking football or your own business, you need a team you can count on. At Core First Bank, local, innovative commercial lenders like Kevin Schamberger are ready to help your business with a winning game plan. Meet Kevin at corefirstbank.com/lend today. Core First Bank, member FDIC.
Are you losing your hair and feel like you don't know what to do? We are here to help you. Hi, I'm Dr. Spencer Egan with Essentis Hair Restoration. We can help you get your hair back using state-of-the-art robotic hair transplant technology. At Essentis Hair Restoration, we care about maintaining the hair you have and replacing the hair you've lost. Book your free consultation for a personalized plan and feel like you again. Call 913-914-5975 or visit kansascityhairtransplant.com.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. And again, we do a show weekly called Mostly Motorsports. It's Monday through Friday. It airs at 12 noon Central Time. And it's live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and RacingBoys.com. We pull it down as soon as the show's over, and then you can find it wherever you find your favorite podcast. So, Kirk, I had a chance to talk to Devin Moran.
Yeah, what a great young driver. He just blew it up down there at Florida in both the Lucas Oil Dirt Series and the World of Outlaws late models, and the events at Volusia Speedway Park last weekend. He was the consistent top runner, and he won the Big Gator. And here's a portion of that conversation that Scott Traylor had on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week.
Never seen a more talented late model driver in a long, long time. Devin Moran joins us now on the show. Devin, how you doing?
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I don't know about all that, but yeah, we definitely had a good speed weeks, and hopefully we can keep it rolling. That's for sure.
Man, I don't know. I'm just saying that I think that I don't know if anybody has looked better than you. Just consistency, man. You just pounding that consistent rock right now.
Yeah, and a lot of that's just a testament to my race cars and my race team. Everyone's been working hard, and the car's been really good. And I just have been holding the steering wheel, making sure I wasn't messing up too bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know what? Do you get frustrated when I'm sitting here and I'm looking at all your finishes for this year, and I don't know, I think it was like 7 second-place finishes. Do you get frustrated with that a little bit?
Yeah, we were kind of joking about it. Maybe the first 3 or 4, it's like, oh, that sucks, but we still ran second, no big deal. But after 7, it's like, dang it, man, if there's just a little bit we could have done more to win the race, it would have been awesome. But all in all, to have 10 top 2 finishes out of 20 nights of racing down in Florida with the guys we were racing with, it was pretty awesome, and I just want to take that momentum into the rest of the year for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the quality of the late model drivers right now is unbelievable, man. I mean, I've been traveling with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour for the last 13 years, and I've been kind of in my bubble, and I haven't been able to watch a lot of late model racing. But let me tell you, man, late model racing is as good as it gets right now.
Yeah, I feel like there's a mix of really good drivers. We got the older drivers in the 40s and the 50s, and they're kind of calm, cool, collective, steady, like running their deal every night. And then you've got younger guys like me and Turbo and Hudson and Bobby up on the wheel a lot. And then obviously you got guys like Brandon Overton, McCready, Shepard. Some of them guys are just really good and really consistent every night. So, yeah, I think our sport is in a really, really, really good spot when it comes to drivers, and it makes it a lot harder to win races, but it does make it a lot of fun to do, that's for sure.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because, in like open wheel racing right now, we see a lot of young guys working the way up through the ranks. But you mentioned it. We still see a lot of gray-haired guys still out there running these late models and still doing a damn good job at it.
Yeah, like look at Jimmy Owens, he's racing for however many years, and he goes to Alltech and gets up on the wheel and ends up passing us all and beating us. There's just, I don't know what it is, but them guys are just so methodical and can make up speed all the time, and they never slouch away, it doesn't seem. So just a lot of good races out there, and we got to compete and run as good as we can every night to give ourselves a chance to win.
It's a tough decision right now what to do, right? Are you going to run an outlaw schedule? Are you going to run, when I say an outlaw schedule, are you just going to run late model races wherever they make sense for you to run, or are you going to run for points?
To be honest, we've talked about it a little bit, and we aren't 100% sure. But I would say we'll probably just do our pick and choose schedule like we did last year. Just for our team and for my crew, it just makes the most sense. It's the most feasible. I know we're going to be running with Lucas here the next couple weeks, and then obviously we're going to go to Bristol for the XR races. But it's just like, it's one of them deals where I might have a 10 and a 20,000 to win 2 hours from home, and Lucas might be all the way in Missouri or Kansas or say Iowa or somewhere. It's like, why drive by a place that I really have a good chance to win when we would have to go all the way out there, and you never know what can happen. So
Right.
I love the series. I think Lucas, World of Outlaws, Slow, XR, I think they all do a really great job. They all have their problems, but I mean, every person in every race team has their problems. As long as we're continuing to working on it and getting better, but they're all really great series, and I think with us having all these series, we kind of pick and choose, and we show a little love to all of them. You know what I mean?
If you're going to do what you do, it makes more sense to go and try to run the big money races than it is to go and just run a series and run all the races and try to win the points championship. I mean, you're second in the points right now with the Lucas Oil late model series, right? Is that making it a little tempting for you to want to stay over there and do that, or is that not even come to mind?
I mean, yes and no, and you're not wrong. I mean, it is about the money some, but at the end of the day, I'm a race car driver, so I'm going to the racetrack to win.
Yep.
And I feel like when we're on that series, it's just we get worn down and we aren't prepared enough to go to the racetrack and win. So if we have to miss a 20 or 30,000 to win race so we can get ready for a 10,000 to win race the next week because we're behind, that's what we're going to do. And that's where it's just so hard for us to run a series. I mean, one of my goals in racing in my career is to win a Lucas Oil Championship or a World of Outlaw Championship or both, you know. I mean, they're, like I said, they're awesome series. And for me, it's not as much about the money as it is just being prepared and being ready to race and then going out there and performing. So I'm a competitor, and I love to win, and I hate to lose. So it's one of them deals where if we're ready to go, then we go and race, and if we aren't, we keep working until we are ready, and then that's when we go.
And there you have it. That's Devin Moran earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports. We also had a chance to talk to one of the great minds in the streaming business. He's the brains behind Dirt Vision, Brian Dunlap. I had a chance to talk to him earlier this week. The opening of the show, one of the brightest minds in all of streaming, and he joins us now on the show, Brian Dunlap. How you doing, Brian?
Good, and thank you so much for that. It means the world to me. Thank you.
No, I'm serious, man. You know, when we were in the streaming business, and we're no longer in that business now because we're doing podcasts, you know, anytime that we really wanted to get a knowledgeable opinion, we always called you first. And that's because we always felt like you were the brains behind Dirt Vision, and you're the one that really makes everything tick over there.
I appreciate that, and I think initially it started out. Fortunately, we've gotten some incredibly talented team members now as we've grown. So it's been neat to grow that pool of information and that set of ideas.
Yeah, unfortunately, rained out at the Mag and the Rev this weekend, huh?
Yeah, we had two NOS Energy Drink Sprint shows down there. Rained out. We do have a couple of shows from Livonia of our extreme dirt car late models. So we still got a couple shows this weekend.
Oh yeah, good. Hey, listen, before we get into talking about everything that's going on over at Dirt Vision, I want to talk to you about your cars at the Chili Bowl. You had Gary Taylor and Casey Schumann driving for you, right? Correct?
Yep. Both of them longtime friends, and both have driven now 3 years. Or Casey's driven for us for a long time, and Gary's been 3 or 4 years. So it's been really good.
Yeah. What was your thoughts of this year's Chili Bowl?
From our end, it was, you know, when you set out in your goals to make the A main, you know, being in a transfer spot and being bit. It hurts, but it gives you something to shoot for next year and kind of know, you know, I know where we stand and that we can get there.
Yeah.
And we start putting ourselves in just a little bit better position all week. We'll get there faster.
Yeah. How difficult is it for a small team like yours to take on the likes of Keith Coons and all these other teams that have 15 cars? How difficult is that challenge?
It's difficult, but I think it's all in preparation and you know, we're lucky that we get to work all year for one race on one car or two cars, and those guys have to balance, you know, a massive fleet. So some of that kind of counters itself, I'll have to say, you know, Chad Boat has really been instrumental and really helped us get up to speed along the way. And I helped Chad on some things as well. So it just we've got a really good relationship there that kind of helps bridge that gap.
Yeah. What kind of when you bring up Chad, what kind of relationship is that? I mean, do you guys just kind of pick each other's brain a little bit to figure out what you guys need to do?
Yeah, we pick each other's brain. I typically order my cars through Chad, and then we work on them here in North Carolina for a little bit before we ship them to Colorado and assemble. And then there's some parts that I'll make for Chad throughout the year, or and we kind of bounce a lot of ideas off each other almost nightly now. Mm-hmm. So,
well, that's this year. To me, I don't know if I've ever seen a more gnarlier curb than what we had down there at the Chili Bowl this year. Have you seen anything like that in years past?
No. I don't think there's been that kind of gnarly curb for probably 8 years now. It's been. I remember at one time it was there, and then there was some effort to kind of get rid of it, and the track didn't have a lot of character. Yeah. But or didn't have as much character, and now that character's coming back. Or I would say just had different character to it.
Right. You know, it's important to have a little character in the racetrack. You know, for me as a fan, the last thing you ever want to see is a bunch of people putting around the bottom, right? I've always said it that give me something on the bottom, give me the top, and make it slick in the middle, and that puts on the best show. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think they've done a really nice job at that. And it's just, you know, it's a fine. You kind of got to walk the line there too, and kind of balance that out. But definitely no complaints or throwing any shade towards the track prep guys.
Right.
It's just it's fun to have a different challenges thrown at you.
Yeah, I've got to bring this up, and I mean it in the utmost respect. The first night down at Volusia, that track was rugged, man. I mean, it was really rugged. But the great thing about it is the way the track crew bounced back and made that track better night number 2. That was remarkable.
Yeah, there were some pretty unique challenges thrown at them weather-wise down there for the weeks leading up, and hats off to them. They Brian Carter was out there every day. Pretty much he was, if there was equipment rolling around the track, you could pretty much count on him being in one just to make it the best we could. And all in all, it was good for the entire 2 weeks. The last, by the last night, it got a little tired, but
yeah. Took a little rubber there on the last night. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just kind of one of those balancing acts is how do you could flood it and go cowboy up too. And it was just, I have full confidence that the notebook is the 12 pages they added to the notebook this year will only make next year better.
All right. That's Brian Dunlap from Dirt Vision. He's a brilliant guy, man. Just absolutely one of the very best in the streaming business. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Sam Haferteef Jr. joins us next right here on Track Talk.
Track Talk.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
For 11 years, Breaking the Norm has presented the best and most uplifting stories in sports, entertainment, and business, and we wouldn't be here without our amazing partners and you, our faithful listeners. Your stories of life change, loving others, and inspiration keep us dedicated to making a difference in the world, one story at a time. Tune in Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on ESPN Kansas City 94.5 FM and Saturday mornings at 7 on Sports Radio 810 WHB for something good, something positive, and something real on Breaking the Norm.
Worried about some serious weather coming this way? KC Weather can wreak havoc on your roof, and small problems can become big problems fast. The Shamrock Roofing team is here to help. Whether you are catching an issue before the storm or need help with damage after, our highly trained Shamrock team is here to help. Call Shamrock Roofing today at 913-850-6556 or shamrockroofer.com, and we will get a member of our team out to help you within 24 hours. Shamrock Roofing, where one call does it all.
Stacy Clark here, owner of Unlimited RV. I'm here to say a huge thank you to all the families that came out to our recent RV show at the KCI Expo Center. Over the course of the 4-day show, we were given the opportunity to serve thousands of people and welcome over 70 proud new owners to the Unlimited RV family. So thank you for your continued support of your Kansas City family and veteran-owned RV dealership.
Unlimited RV, home of the lifetime warranty. Go to unlimitedrv.com.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. As 2022 kicks into high gear, let's turn the corner together and make it one for the record books. Our community has weathered some strong storms over the past 2 years. As we come out of this, let's rally around one another. Support your local businesses and support local jobs. You know how important this is to all of us. Together, we can make KC a better place for all of us. Keep it local, Kansas City. Check us out at opakc.com.
Look, staying healthy isn't easy. Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss the final days to save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus special financing on all smart beds. Ends Monday. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
This is your 30-day warning.
Michael Jordan jumper from out on the left. Good! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Chalmers for three and the tie. He got it! Rogers deep three. Ring it up! It is good! As time expires!
March Madness, the Final Four, and National Championship are all on America's largest all-sports radio station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
At Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick
30
GMC,
seconds, fellas.
Your car buying experience just got better.
We have to be
Not
out
only do they have
by
the best selection
55.
around, they're offering 90-day money-back
10-4.
guarantee on new vehicle purchases. That's right, buy any new Buick or GMC from Brogdon, and if you're not completely satisfied, return it for a full refund. From the 2022 GMC Yukon and Sierra 1500 Limited
Yeah,
to
that'll
the
work.
Buick Encore GX. Now is the time to buy. Visit robertbrogdon.com or stop by I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe. Customer must register vehicle. See dealer for details.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Well, we also had a chance to talk with 5-time Lucas Oil ASES National Tour champion. He was also the North American 360 Driver of the Year in the 360 Pole Award, Sam Hafertepe Jr.
Yeah, to me, that was the best race of all of Saturday night to watch over at East Bay Raceway Park, as Sam Hafertepe Jr. won his first King of the 360s. And here's the conversation that Scott had with the King of the 360s.
Sam Hafertepe joins us now after picking up the King of the 360s victory down at East Bay this last weekend. Sam, how you doing, bud?
Man, doing really good after the weekend for sure.
Hey, man, that was a pretty remarkable victory for you. There for a moment, I didn't know if you were going to be able to run those guys down or not, but your car came to you as the race went on, didn't it?
Yeah, we had that same issue Thursday night. You know, we started on the pole there and fell way back pretty early, and then just seemed like on the longer green flag run, for some reason there at East Bay, our car would be better, and you know, luckily that thing stayed green the whole time. So, yeah, I don't think their cars faded. I think ours got better, and you know, they got bottled in lap traffic, and we were able to get through there a little bit better than they were.
Yeah, you know, you were talking about how bad your car was earlier in the evening in your post-race interview. We just watched it here a few minutes ago, and you were pretty disgusted with your car early on in the night, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, we were so good the first two nights. I felt like we had something pretty figured out, and then the track kind of threw us a curveball the last night. So when we went out for our little hot lap session, I was like, man, we're not close enough. We're not going to win like this. So we've got to do something. And, we worked on it quite a bit. I'm not going to say we got it perfect. I think those two guys were better than us as far as car wise, but, our car came in at the right time in the race and we were able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. The lap traffic came into play a little bit there too, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was tough. I got into a deal where they got by a lap car at the same time. Then I got stuck behind him for a while.
Yep.
In the middle stage of the race. And then when I finally got by him, they got behind a couple other lap cars that they really couldn't do anything with. And it just happened perfect. I mean, Terry kind of got impatient with Mark, and he was trying to go on the outside of Mark, and Mark kind of went up to block one lap. And then, they both got back down to the bottom, and, they got pinned behind a lap car, and Terry went to the top again, and I passed him for second. And then, a lap later, Mark was probably trying to drive in a little harder to kind of arc down, and he slipped up a little too high, and it allowed me to get underneath him just enough to squeeze by him. And then from there on out, I was just like telling myself, I'm going to stick to bottom. I'm not going to get off the bottom. Even if I've got to go slower than I need to, that's what I'm going to do. So luckily I was able to hit my marks and get it done.
Sam, I've watched you race a lot of races over the years, and you've always been exceptional about the way you approach lap traffic. Kind of give me a thought process on how you approach that, because you've been exceptional at doing that, taking chances maybe when other people don't take chances, going three wide, splitting the needle there a little bit. Just talk about your mindset when you're having to deal with that kind of lap traffic.
It's just, you just try to, like what I always try to do is I always try to see where, they struggle the most at, because there's several areas where guys will be just as good as you. So you just have to figure out where they're struggling the most at, same way, like in a race like that, I kind of knew where Mark was flipping at, and just to get by him. And then you got to watch your lap cars too. And, they do the same thing. So, the opening when it would come, it worked out really good for us. I think we caught every lap car after I took the lead about as good as I could catch them. And I struggled with the last one a little bit there with 2 to go, but those guys did too. So it's just, I always just try to find a weakness in a guy and see where they struggle the most, and hopefully I can capitalize on that opening.
Your teammate Dylan Westbrook, he seems like he's coming around pretty good.
Yeah, Miles has asked me time and time again. I said, Miles, you just got to remember, he's still young, and he's still getting better and better every night. They're learning a lot, learning quick, and he's going to be a force this year out on the ASCS tour for sure. He's definitely got the talent to do it, and just like any younger guys, they're going to have a few little monkeys to get off their back, but he's probably, I don't know, I would say he's learning quicker than most young guys would, and he's advancing a lot faster than most young guys would. So, I expect a lot of good things for him this year.
How much does he lean on your knowledge? How often does he come to you and ask you for some advice?
We've exchanged some stuff every once in a while. But like some of the stuff I do, he doesn't really like. Some of the stuff he does is a little different than what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But we've really been able to, at least compare what he does to what I do. And I know that's his deal and it works for him. And then he knows this is kind of my deal and it works for me. And if we can help each other, we try to for sure. But we definitely have 2 different programs. He's on different shocks, different cars. But like I say, what they have works for them, and what we have works for us. And like I say, we've been able to share some notes, but for the most part, they're kind of on their wavelength and we're on ours. And at the end of the day, we achieve a lot of the same things. So it's pretty neat to see that.
All right, there you have it. 5-time Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour champion. The current track record holder at Bristol Motor Speedway's dirt track. He holds the track record there as well. He's going to run about 50 World of Outlaw races this year. He said about 25 Lucas Oil ASES National Tour races. Look for Sam at a track near you. He is a fantastic driver.
Yeah, it definitely, as we mentioned before the interview that we just played, that I thought that race on Saturday night was the best one to watch because Volusia Speedway Park got locked down and rubber down. They had tire problems in the big block modifieds, and Emerson Axum was out front up at Bubba. And that was a pretty good race to watch, to see Sam, get down to the low side. Because frankly, I thought when Mark Smith got out front, he was going to be really hard to get back. But Sam did a good job of getting by it.
Mark Smith is about as good as they get when it comes down to East Bay.
Yeah.
He's won a lot of races down there over the years, and he wasn't driving his own car this year as well. So Mark Smith, you think about Terry McCarl has won more King of the 360 races than anybody else, right?
Right.
And then you got Mark Smith. And for Sam to outrun those two guys, that's quite the feat there.
Yeah, he was feeling pretty proud with that crown hat on and waving the wand. And
they need a better crown hat, though.
I got a kick out of
a little too cheap looking.
Got a kick out of the announcer who said, you didn't need that wand tonight.
Right.
You did that on your own, and he did. So that was a very impressive run by Sam at East Bay.
Yep. All right, hour number 2, you can watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter account, YouTube, or racingboys.com. We're going to have Bob Baker, Emerson Axum, Mike Franks, Darren Bennett is going to be on in hour number 2. And it's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We hope that you'll follow us over there and watch us online. And we want to thank Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB for all his hard work here with us in hour number 1 of Track Talk. Again, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products.
30.
And also want to thank our 2 producers, Austin O'Neill, Todd Surprise, my partner Kirk Elliott. Again, we'll be doing it here in just a few minutes. Give us about 5 minutes at the top of the hour and come over there and visit us online at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and racingboys.com. For Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
This is Chad for Shaman
Thanks, my man.
Total
Lee
Wellness.
coming on
Yes.
right at
Great
the
show, guys. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate it, brother. Have a good week, brother.
Helped me lose 29 pounds, made my clothes loose, and the place that's given me
Taking care of your car is a responsibility. It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Zurich Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
We not only look to the future, we design it. Our excellence and professionalism in craftsmanship, quality, and safety is unmatched in the industry. We are proud suppliers to some of the most elite race teams in the world. We build it, you drive it. We are here to help you win.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know the funny thing about that is, the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's hour number 2 of Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. And I'm Scott Traylor along with Kirk Elliott. We've got Austin O'Neill, Todd Surprise here working for us in the studio. And we've got a lot of sound. We're going to try to get a hold of Lee Spencer here in just a moment, talk to her a little bit about last weekend's Daytona 500 and what's coming up at Fontana this weekend. Also, we're going to have some sound from Bob Baker, Emerson Axum, Mike Franks talking about the drag strip up at US 36. and Darren Bennett as well, the new general manager out at Lakeside Speedway. You know, people talk about our show. It's kind of a national show, but we're not going to forget about some of our regional tracks around here as well. So we'll be talking a little bit about US 36, I-70, Lakeside, and Lucas Oil Speedway, you know, some of the tracks around this area. So let's quickly go to the phones because we've only got her for a short period of time. Lee Spencer joins us now on Track Talk. How you doing, Lee?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Well, we're doing all right. Where are you at today?
Charlotte.
Are you in Charlotte, right? Yeah. Hey,
yes, sir.
Me and Kirk had a disagreement this morning. Do you think Kyle Larson could have won the Daytona 500?
When?
Last week.
This year?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, you know, he's got as good a shot as anybody. It's such a crapshoot.
I know, but Kirk just doesn't think he's good enough yet to win at Daytona.
All I was saying, Lee, is I picked a half a dozen drivers,
and not one of them was Kyle Larson.
Had a better chance to win Sunday's race than Kyle Larson. Going into that race, I thought that. I'm just saying I would have been shocked to see Kyle Larson win the Daytona 500, only because that he has not been one of the top runners of these super speedway races yet. Now, he could get there, but no, I didn't think he had a chance to win that race.
I don't
did
even
not.
think he's got a top 10, does he?
No,
well, he's wrecked out. He's wrecked out.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he'll never win the Daytona 5. I'm just saying that going into last week's race, no, I didn't think he was among the favorites to win that race. That's the way I felt.
Honestly, I think it's such a crapshoot. Anybody can win it. I mean,
Right.
I hate to call guys out and say, you know, Joe Blow can win it, and I mean, Daytona is more of a handling track than Talladega, but I mean, you know, on any given race weekend, I think anybody can win Daytona. If you've passed the test and you're in a Cup car, and especially with all the cars being equal as they are, I don't think that there's anybody in that field that couldn't have won on Sunday.
Trevor Bayne won. That proves it, right?
Well, I don't. You know, that's a little harsh. I think he was better in his early years than he was in the closing years, and I'll be curious to see what he does with Joe Gibbs' equipment this weekend. But
right.
You know, other than that, I mean, I just think that I think you have to be fearless at Daytona. I mean, I think you have to be fearless. I think it has to be intuitive. I don't think, you know, once Trevor started having kids, he was fearless anymore, if that makes sense. I think that happens to a lot of race car drivers.
It does.
But, you know, I look at somebody like Stenhouse. Stenhouse is not the brightest bulb in the room. Denny Hamlin is not the brightest bulb in the room. They may think they are. You know, and I'm talking intellectually. I'm talking big picture smarts. You know, these are guys that I think more with their body than their minds, and I think there's got to be a combination of both, and I think that's why that kind of racing suits those two. I think you can overthink a place like Daytona, and if you're somebody like a Carl Edwards, that doesn't suit you well. If you're a Ryan Newman, I mean, I think, you know, Newman can psych himself to be patient enough to you know, get there at the finish. And I think that was even more the case when he was younger. But I think as these guys get older, you know, like a Keselowski, as brilliant of a chess game as he plays at Talladega, I think, you know, sometimes he has a tendency to overthink things. And I don't think that you can – I think race car driving, you got to be smart, but I think when you start overthinking things, it cuts into just the natural progression of your racecraft.
So what you're saying is those drivers have more balls than brains.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that's accurate. And I think that there is, I think in some cases, you know, there's a lot more benefit to that sometimes. If you're a B student and you can balance that, you know, I'm not sure your honor student is going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, is Brad Keselowski one of those guys that has more balls than brains? Because you look at some of bonehead moves that he made last week. Does he fall in that category of just guys that are really brave and maybe don't think as clearly?
I don't think that at all. I mean, I think he's got something to prove, and he's overthinking things at this point. I don't think that's
gotcha.
I think that aggressiveness stemmed from, having to prove the fact that he can really make a go at it with this new team, and B, that now that he lost his father, he wants to step up and be the man of the family.
Right. He's out to prove something to everybody that, listen, nobody's picking me to win this year because the team has been so bad in years past, the last few years, that nobody's picking him to win a race, and he's out to prove everybody wrong. Correct?
His best shot to win a race is going to be at a restrictor plate. Now, am I saying he can't win someplace else? I don't believe that for a second, but I really believe his best shot to win this year is going to come at Talladega.
And his only win last year was at Talladega, wasn't it? I mean, that's the only win he had the whole year.
Let's face it, Fords weren't on the same level last year as they weren't at this. I don't think they were operating at the same level as some of the other cars. And I think that, with the exception of Blaney, that was pretty evident. And so you come back this year and you see what you can do with the playing field being even for as long as it is. And I think that's what they got to do. I mean, I really believe that the teams that aren't at the teams that aren't the high dollar teams like a Penske, like a Gibbs, like a Hendrick, this is the time to make hay while everybody's still figuring out the cost.
Did Ford benefit from the new car more than the other manufacturers, you think?
I think that they gave up on the old car last year and started putting money in the new car. And, I just kind of think that's what they did. They've won the first 4 races of the year, right? But what we're seeing at Daytona is not going to be indicative of what happens when we get to California. I just posted a story about, Alex Bowman, the last winter there, talking about the challenges that these teams are facing. This is, this is made for TV racing. They condensed the schedule. They have 15 minutes to shake down this car. 15 minutes. They're going to separate the teams into 2 groups, Group 1, Group 2. Group 1 gets 15 minutes. They sweep off the track. Group 2 comes on. They get their 15 minutes. Immediately following Group 2's practice session, Group 1 is going to qualify. Then Group 2 is going to qualify. Then they're going to take the top guys, the top 5 from each section, and they're going to qualify, single lap runs. They have no time to practice. They have no time to prepare. This is all, this is where you're going to start seeing the breakdown between the haves and the have-nots. Why? Because the people who have the most sophisticated simulation are going to be able to distinguish themselves from the have-nots. And that's there's a bit of a chasm there. Who are you going to give? Who are you going to give time to in the on the simulation? You're going to give it to the Kyle Larsons of the world, or are you going to give it to the Cody Wares? I mean, it's like figure this one out. I mean, it's not too hard. Now, why is this even more important? Because the last 4 races at California Speedway have been won by somebody starting into the first 2 rows. So if you don't qualify worth a damn, you're starting at a deficit for, not just for the weekend but for the entire race. And I look at somebody like, Kurt Busch, who failed inspection and is going to have a penalty right out of the box. At a track like California, it's going to prove it's going to be disastrous for that team because he's not going to be able to catch up.
All right, where are we at on these wheels? NASCAR decided not to penalize Penske and the RFK Racing. What are the ramifications of that, and how do we move forward with these wheels?
I think that was a good call, don't you, Lee?
Well, I think it was a good call because and let's put it in terms everybody can understand, right, Kirk? Basically, you had an organization, Team Penske, and you have to think, and I don't know this, and I really need to look behind the scenes a little more. That's just really didn't have time during Speed Weeks to find out what kind of relationship is going to be between Team Penske and BKR, or sorry,
RFK,
Roush Fenway Keselowski, right? Because
Right.
if they're like a satellite, which would be in their best interest, why? Because they've got two winning drivers over there, one a former champion, and let's face it, when you put the Joe Gibbs Racing and the 23XI teams, together, that's a 6-car factory team, right? So the least you can do is try to get the same kind of even playing field on the Ford side, at least with that group. Because, quite honestly, if there is a return with Dodge to NASCAR, I can really see SHR going in that direction, given the fact that, Tony's NHRA team is there already. That's not a given. It's just, speculation and just kind of where that might go. But anyway, back to the deal. Those were the two teams that tried it out. Why? Team Penske has dealt with a one hub wheel for years on their IndyCar stuff. They understood what was going to have to go on with how these cars the tires married up, or the wheels rather, married up to the hubs. And so, they told NASCAR they were going to do it. Now, the other teams that got busted, they had wheels that came off of the cars. And, it's never been any different with NASCAR when that happens, just because it's a safety issue. So I think that, NASCAR erred on what the information was that they got from Team Penske, what they were told in advance, and I think they made the right call. The rest of the guys in the garage may disagree with that, because you're always looking to throw somebody under the bus. But when you think about them making those changes and making them in broad daylight, I think it kind of tells you, I don't think that Team Penske would have been stupid enough to do that in the light of day if they didn't think that there would be recourse on the other side, for their benefit at the end.
NASCAR didn't even really respond when they informed NASCAR that they were doing it. There was really no response from NASCAR, was there?
No, they just said they were taking the wheels back to the R&D. They confiscated the wheels that were in question, took them back to the R&D, and did further deep dive on them, and that's what they came out with. And I think they ended up where they kind of needed to be on the deal.
I think the biggest problem they have with those is when they get a flat, they can't even drive the cars off the racetrack. That's going to be a huge issue before the year's up. That's going to put people laps down while they wait for a tow truck to come out there and get them off the racetrack.
Well, I think all you had to do was be listening to Chase Elliott's car last week when he said, he asked his crew chief, are the interliners still up? And he said, we don't have interliners anymore. I think that kind of told you everything that you needed to know, that when the drivers don't even know they don't have interliners anymore, then we might have a problem. But, I've been told that other people warned NASCAR that this was going to happen, and it just wasn't taken into consideration. And, I really would have to get NASCAR's side on it before, making that as spelling that out as absolute, but that's kind of, the direction that what I've been told.
Do you think there's any chance there could be a redesign on this wheel? Lee? Hello?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, do you think there's...
I cut out a little bit.
That's
sorry.
okay. That's okay. Do you think there's any chance there could be a redesign on the wheel?
They're going to have to look at something. They're going to have to figure out how this, how these cars are able to drive back without damaging them. So,
right.
I think it's something they have to look into sooner than later.
Yeah.
Is this the last weekend ever at Fontana, California for a NASCAR race? What's the future?
Well, here's the deal. Is it the last time that we're there with and it's not a short track? Who knows? There have been I heard Larry Mack the other day, and I was kind of surprised he said that, but it made it sound like NASCAR didn't do the due diligence before they looked into transforming Auto Club Speedway into a short track. And so there might, that might be something that they have to look into before moving forward with that project.
I missed what Larry Mack said. Is there a chance that the racetrack can just go away and they not build a short track? Is that what we're thinking right now?
I don't know if it was, if you look at it from a dollars and cents perspective,
yep.
It might be better for them financially to sell it because the real estate out there is pretty valuable. I mean, there are a lot of Amazon warehouses in that area. And, honestly, it's, and this is nothing against California Speedway, but where they built it, it wasn't the best place to begin with. And so, from just being, I don't know, it just has never been one of like a destination kind of race, and it's never really attracted the kind of numbers they want. Now, that being said, I do think it's one of the most entertaining tracks on the schedule, and it really produces good racing. So I'll be interested to see how this, what transpires going forward.
Just 2 weeks removed from the Clash, make a difference on how big of a crowd we're going to see this weekend, and does it make a difference how big of a crowd we have this weekend to see this racetrack continue?
Well, what I'll say to that is attracting, Angelenos from when you're in the city of Los Angeles is a lot easier to do than trying to attract Angelenos to come out to the Valley. And I think that's always been part of the problem, whether it's Ontario, Fontana, or Riverside, right? And so one of the reasons that the Coliseum worked so well was the simple fact that the track was actually in town in the city of Los Angeles. And if people, just battling the traffic to go out to Fontana is a chore, it's a lot easier to talk people into coming, a few miles from their house rather than going what's going to be at least an hour in traffic, if not more.
Yeah. Do you think more tracks should do what Kansas Speedway has done, built a kind of a Village West area around the racetracks? Do we not see enough of that at some of these racetracks? Do some of these racetracks need to take a page out of the Kansas Speedway book a little bit?
Well, you can't really say that wasn't the case when when they built Fontana, because the big there's the big Mills Mall there, very similar to all the shopping that they have in Kansas. And so I think that you look at that area and how much it's built. I mean, that was a reclamation project where they built Fontana. It was an old steel mill. It had been there for years. It really drew people out in the valley for jobs and what have you. But I mean, it's just, it's just a dumpy area. And, so, you can't really say the same about Kansas Speedway. I mean, Kansas Speedway was just kind of farmland. I mean, you guys know that better than I do.
Yeah.
But they took, they took pretty, just basically farmland and turned it into a huge complex. And, it was more of a I don't know if regentrification, I think reclamation project is more apt for the Fontana project, but I love that track. I mean, I've enjoyed going out there. I think it provides for really good racing, and I don't think there's really anything more you could do for that area that hasn't already been done. That whole Rancho Cucamonga area has really built up since the racetrack went there, and it's, by far a lot more developed than the first year that we went out. And it's I don't know. We certainly need a presence in that area. I'm just not sure if that's
the place.
What we want to do, and the fact that the short tracks And this was another point that was made this past week. All the short tracks in NASCAR are all in one state. I mean, we need to have them spread out so people can really take advantage and enjoy that style of racing in other parts of the country.
What about that facility in Irwindale? Could that be, built up to host a Cup weekend? Or what is that like?
No.
Well, I mean, that's what we were saying. They went to the trouble of doing the LA Coliseum, right? And I mean, I'm the first one to say I was skeptical, but I thought it was a huge success, and the amount of just buzz and vibe, and it was just tremendously a positive experience for the sport and just uplifting. I mean, it to me, I thought it was just absolutely phenomenal, right? But that being said, I just don't, Irwindale would have been the ideal choice for it because it's already there. It's already a short track. It's got a press box. It's got great stands. It's easy in, easy out. It's right there, with, I've been there several times and I think it would have been fine. Would you have to, put a little more infrastructure in? Well, yeah, you'd probably want to have more suites in that situation where, LA Coliseum had great suites. But I have been there. I have been in the press box and yeah, it's doable. But I mean, I think that, moving forward, if you're going to do something, I'm not, it would not shock me, to see them do a street course. It would not shock me to see them, try someplace else if they can't put this project into fruition, try to make a short track someplace else on that side of the country, so you're not forced into having all your short track races in Virginia.
All right. I say leave it at the Coliseum. That's what I say.
Oh, I mean, that, it's great if they can keep doing that. But, and I would certainly, I hope that they announce that deal sooner than later because I think there was so much buzz and from the first event that people are going to tell people and they're going to tell people and you're going to have a lot more people wanting to come back for, the rematch. But, we definitely need short tracks throughout the country, and I think this new car, the way it behaves, it's better suited for short track racing. I'm very interested to see what Richmond's like because, quite frankly, we haven't bothered going to Richmond the last couple of years because the racing just hasn't been worthwhile.
Right.
So, if this is something that they can do, change it up, and the car makes for good racing at Richmond, hey, maybe they'll have a resurgence, but I mean, it's just, there are so many other places I would just rather go and see a race at this point until they figure out what that track needs, and maybe what that track needs is this new car. So we will see. You know what
NASCAR doesn't need right now? The price of fuel and motel rooms going through the roof. That's an issue right now.
That's true too, but I mean, you go. I mean, I thought the prices for LA, they were fine given given that you just expect hotel rooms to be more expensive at a place like LA, right?
Right.
But, Atlanta, it's not ridiculous. Daytona was just off the chain stupid money. But until we get this fuel thing situated, it is what it is.
Paul Nelson, one of the people on our chat room here, said that gas is $4 a gallon in Washington right now. So,
well, I have no doubt, but I mean, that's if you guys want to do an extra hour of economics, you can get back to me after my yoga class.
Oh, okay. All right, Lee. Well, we know that you got to get going. We appreciate you taking the time to join us here on the show, and we'll talk to you during the week on Mostly Motorsports. Okay.
Super. Take care.
All right. There you have it. Lee Spencer, Racing Boys' own, right here on Track Talk.
She did a great job covering everything for us down in Daytona.
Yeah, well, she's the best. That's why.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not surprised one bit at all. Now, are we going to go with Bob Baker first? Is that what we're going to do? Yeah, you want to set that up, Kurt?
Bob Baker is the director of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, and always a lot of things going on up at Knoxville at the Hall of Fame. Scott Traylor spoke with Bob Baker on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week, and here is a portion of that conversation.
Bob, there's so much going on up at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, but I want to talk about what's going on outside around Knoxville Raceway. Tell everybody what's going on as far as tearing down all those buildings that were surrounding. Tell me a little bit about the background of those buildings and what that was in its heyday.
You're talking about the VA hospital, I'm guessing, right?
The VA hospital. Most of those buildings have been torn down, haven't they?
Yeah, I think there's like 2 buildings that are still left standing. One of them is the old laundry building where they did laundry for hospitals across the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
And then the other one is a boiler room, and we're not sure if that boiler room is going to remain standing because that's what feeds the power to the laundry room or not. But both of those buildings are modern brick buildings, and they're still standing. Everything else is either down or in the process of coming down. I think there might be a half a building, one of those old hospital buildings that's still left up that they're probably have down by the end of the day today. And then they're just loading everything up and carting it away to a landfill. So It's pretty barren. You know, it's the area right behind the main grandstand. When you used to look out behind the main grandstand, you saw those nice trees and those big brick buildings back there of the VA hospital. And
right.
They're no more. It looks like a bomb went off back there right now.
It's crazy.
Probably something from a deserted movie or, you know, a bomb-type movie because there's nothing there except for a bunch of rubble now. And plans are to build some new houses back in that area down the road and then also an elementary school. So the city has definite plans for the property.
Yeah. Are they tearing down the houses that were across the street as well? Because there was a bunch of vacant houses over there. Are they tearing those down too?
Yeah, believe it or not, those houses used to be like the doctors' and the nurses' houses
right.
for the staff back in the probably 40s and 50s for the hospital. And most people didn't know this, but there was an underground tunnel that went underneath that street so the doctors and nurses would never have to walk outside in inclement weather.
Really?
They could walk in the tunnel over to their houses across the street. But to answer your question, yes, all those houses are going to be torn down also. Plans are for new housing to go into those spots also.
Have you ever walked in that tunnel, Bob?
No, I never have. I've seen pictures from people who live up here who have been in the tunnels and, you know, some movies and stuff. We always thought at the Hall of Fame it would be a great place for like a college for art students or a chiropractic college or some type of a college because the students would be able to go from building to building without having to ever go outside. The buildings, I think all of them were connected by tunnels, but they were semi-underground tunnels.
Oh,
the top
wow.
part of the tunnels, you know, stuck up over the top of the ground. But they were all climate controlled, so, you know, kids could have worn shorts and flip-flops in there all winter long and gone to classes. It would have been pretty nice setup. But the buildings deteriorated over the years, and they were filled with asbestos, and they were just in a state of disrepair is why they were being torn down. So
we're visiting with Bob Baker from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Bob, what's going on new up at the Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum right now?
Right now we've got like a couple of things going on. Even though it's wintertime, we're working inside the museum to change out our exhibits. This year we're going to do a track tribute to Ascot Park Speedway. So we've got race cars coming from California that used to race at Ascot that are going to be on display along with the memorabilia, movies, videos of drivers that raced at Ascot. And, of course, you know, we'll have drivers' helmets, uniforms, and pieces and artifacts from Ascot Speedway. The Agajanian family has been very helpful in helping us secure a lot of the memorabilia and movies and video from the past. And there's just so many stories with that racetrack that you could just probably spend a week just sitting and telling stories about everything from Evel Knievel starting his motorcycle jumping career there to all the famous race car drivers who broke their teeth there like Parnelli Jones and ended up in the Indianapolis 500. So we've got a lot more story to tell than we've got space to show it.
Did you ever go to Ascot, Bob?
I did when I worked with Ted Johnson at the World of Outlaws. I got to go there twice. I met, I think her name was Cammie Edelbrock, Vic Edelbrock's daughter, and we became good friends. And she was a big fan of sprint car racing and the World of Outlaws and Ascot. So she kind of showed me the ropes around Ascot Speedway, and just a lot of good memories. Just the only 2 times I went there, like I said, were with World of Outlaws sprint cars. So that was a little different from the non-wing races. which I never got to see the CRA, the California Racing Association there, the non-wing cars. I wish I had, but I didn't get to. But a lot of good memories, and a lot of good folks are still around from the Ascot days.
Yeah.
The guy who used to do the dirt work at the track, Rico Hawks, now is in charge, or he was a couple of years ago anyway, of the Monster Truck Series that goes around the country with the Gravedigger, and he's pretty much in charge of those production of those shows. So it's amazing where everybody from racing past ends up down the road.
All right, that's a portion of the interview with Bob Baker, director of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. You can listen to all of these interviews in their entirety on the podcast, Mostly Motorsports. You can click the link on racingboys.com, and all the shows are up there. 34 shows have been run so far since the first day of the Chili Bowl. So we'll do it every Monday through Friday. Also, earlier this week, Scott spoke with Emerson Axon, who won the finale of the Winter Dirt Games up at Bubba Raceway Park. Took 2 out of 3 for the weekend. And here is a portion of Scott's conversation with the 17-year-old phenom Emerson Axon.
Just talk about what it means to go down to Florida and run for the year and start your season off on the right foot. You know, a lot of people go down there, they try to get their program up and running and make sure that they're good for the season. Talk about what it means to go down there and race for a couple weeks.
You know, it's definitely good to get back in the car. It's nice, and I think it's very rewarding to go down there at the start of the season, just to get, like you said, the season started off, and you know, get your cars figured out so that when racing really kicks off, you're not way behind.
Yeah, talk about that last night. You had to chase down Chase Stockton, and it was late in the race when you finally caught him, but you made the move and you ended up winning that race. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, he was kind of. I knew the top would be better early, just the way the rework happened, and at Bubba Raceway Park, it gets to the point where it's, I guess, over the banking, and it slows down a lot. So normally the bottom in 3 and 4 comes into play. You just have to find it first, and so I knew that going into the race, and you know, we kind of set up for late in the race anyways, and they kind of told me to maintain early, and you know, once I got to second, I was just maintaining and watching for the bottom in 3 and 4 to come in, and I tried it one lap and gained a lot, so I just kind of was able to sneak by him there on the bottom.
Yeah. That Bubba Raceway Park, man, you just never know what kind of track surface you're going to get down there, do you?
Yeah, it's a crazy place. I like it personally just because it's kind of tricky, so a lot of guys struggle there. So, and just so happens that I'm not one of the guys that struggle there, so it makes it a lot easier on me. I don't know, so I guess that's why I like it, just because a lot of guys struggle there, and you know, we seem to do pretty well there, so it's hard not to like it.
Yeah. You know, to drive for such a team like Clauson Marshall, I heard you in your post-race interview say that you didn't really ever want to drive for another team. The chemistry around that group of people, and the Driven to Save Lives people as well, man, there's such chemistry there, and you fit right in with that. Talk about the chemistry with the Clauson Marshall team and the Driven to Save Lives.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to me, honestly. You know, to be driving for a team for such a short amount of time, and I feel like I've been working with these guys forever almost. And when I say I wouldn't want to drive for any other team, you know, since I was in quarter midgets and when Clauson Marshall started up, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And
right,
you know, I've always wanted to drive for him, so I think it's pretty cool. I've made my way up and you know, kind of been hired by him, and I don't know. I just think that's pretty cool. But the chemistry part is pretty crazy to me too. My crew chief Adam and me really work well together, and he reminds me a lot of my dad. So I think that's why we work so well together, because I've always worked with my dad on setup and stuff, and he's always set up my car, and so I've always had my dad in my corner. And then to be a hired driver now, I was kind of worried about it, but my crew chief, he's really good, and he comes from Australia, so they hired him and brought him over here from Australia, and he's really sharp and a great guy to work with.
We're visiting with Emerson Axum. He is the driver of the Clauson Marshall car, the Driven to Save Lives car. Listen, let's talk a little bit about what your season's laid out for this year. Are you gonna run straight non-wing sprint car? Are you gonna run a little Silver Crown as well this year?
So we're gonna do the main focus is non-wing sprint cars, and really just the non-wing sprint car schedule, and then getting my feet wet in the wing car. That's the main goal.
Yeah.
And then but we have races filling in. Like, I think we're gonna do some crown races on the miles, and then I think we're gonna do a little bit of midget racing, and then I think we're gonna do some pavement sprint car racing, just like that.
How cool.
The little 500 and stuff like that. So that's really basically the whole season right there.
All right, there you have it. That's Emerson Axum, winner down there at Bubba Raceway Park. I want to remind everybody today they have the second annual swap meet. It's the open wheel swap meet. It's at Extreme Color, and that address for Extreme Color is 307 Tennis Court Drive. Extreme Color, 307 Tennis Court Drive. That's in North Kansas City, Missouri. And it starts at 12 noon, and they're going to have barbecue and pop and all kinds of stuff going on down there. So check it out. It's the second annual swap meet. It's an open wheel swap meet, and it's all brought to you by MWRA. Raul's putting that on, I do believe, down there. And again, that's an Extreme Color, 307 Tennis Court Drive in North Kansas City, Missouri. It starts at 12 o'clock today. And our good friends over at Rod End Supply are a part of that as well.
And we are 1 week away from the induction ceremony for the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame. Been 2 years since we had the last one.
Right, yeah.
And we've got Austin's father and grandfather.
How about that,
being
Austin?
Inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Pretty proud of that, aren't you, bud?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. That's all you got? For sure?
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
I'm not going in there yet, so it's too bad we're not all three going in. But
well, you've got
I got a long way to go.
You've got to earn
your Hall of Famer.
You've got to earn your stripes first, bud.
Oh, for sure. We'll see how it goes, though.
Your grandfather and your dad, they've earned their stripes.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of stories and lessons that they've taught me and what they went through to get to that point, and it's rewarding to see them accomplish this. And
you ever seen that picture of your grandfather flipping his 55 Chevy out at I-70 Speedway?
No, there's one picture I saw that
he
crashed one car.
There was a car that he flipped out at I-70 Speedway. I've seen the picture of it one time. You've never seen that picture?
I don't think so.
He didn't.
He only came over to the shop a couple times, and
he really didn't like you running sprint cars, did he?
No, towards the end, towards the later years, he enjoyed it more. But when we broke the news to him, he wasn't the biggest fan of it.
He was frowning on that a little bit.
Yeah.
He didn't want to see you get hurt, right?
That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool seeing him to come to Lakeside a couple times and watch me racing, and memories I'll never forget.
Yeah, well, he was at that last race at Lakeside Speedway.
He was.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate that we had issues that night, but just to have him there is pretty cool.
Yeah, no.
Well, we're going to talk all about those memories.
He was a great man. Your grandfather was.
You bet.
Who else is getting inducted?
We're going to be talking a lot about those memories next week, next Saturday. The others going into the Hall of Fame are Thad Dozier, T.J. Giddings, Jerry Potter, Urban Schick, Ken Schrader, Ken Simon, Kerry Davis going into the Hall of Fame.
Kerry Davis has been due for a long time, man. Kerry Davis has done so much around here in his racing career. Why is it taking so long to get Kerry?
Well, you always ask that question. Why is it taking so long?
Well, it's just like Jeff Clem. Yeah. How in the hell is Jeff Clem not into the Hall of Fame?
He needs to go in.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like Austin's dad. To be honest with you, John O'Neill Jr. should have been in that Hall of Fame 10 years ago.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
Well, you know, my take on all that is you always complain, well, how come they're not in before now? Well, we have these Hall of Fame ceremonies every year, and as long as they go in, that's the bottom line for me. You know, as long as they get in there, that's it for me. When they go in, it's not as big a deal to me as it is you.
Some people that have their own agenda when they go in there and vote.
You know, there is a lot of politics at play in any kind of Hall of Fame. So
a lot of it has to do with popularity.
Well, a lot of it does have to do with that. There's no doubt about what kind of personality you are. It is an impact to how soon you might go into a Hall of Fame. So, but that's just the way it is with Hall of Fames and elections, and you know, when you have to be voted in, that's the way it goes. But that's the way it is with any Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Hey, one other thing before
one thing I know for sure, Kirk, I'll never be in a Hall of Fame.
Why not? You should be in the Carb Hall of Fame someday.
No, that'd never happen.
Well,
you know that.
Never happen?
Never.
Why not?
Never happen.
Okay. Well, you get because you're controversial. You just rub
I don't
too many
know what
people
it
the
is.
wrong way. What is it about?
I don't know. I to be honest with you, I just
don't
just say what's on my mind.
Never say never.
No.
Never say never. Hey, one thing, and by the way, that Hall of Fame, we're going to stream that live on Facebook next week. Facebook and YouTube. So we'll have that.
Still doing a little bit of streaming once in a while.
Yeah.
Not much.
This is probably one of the last ones we'll do for a while. So, but anyway, tune in for that.
You know
it's
what?
Free of charge.
We're right here in this studio Monday through Saturday. We're doing 6 Austin and I are doing 6 shows a week. How about that, Austin?
We're grinding it out.
We are grinding, man.
You know, you say you got off the road. Yes, you got off the road, but you're still living the road life by being here 6 days a week.
Right. Well, when you show up, I'm in this studio.
You're sleeping in your own bed.
And when you leave, I'm in this studio.
You are.
Yeah.
You're sleeping in your own bed and coming down to the basement to do the show, so that's a lot different than being out on the road.
Yeah, you know, I get to sleep in my own bed. That is a good thing.
Hey,
not to say that I'm not going to do a little work I've got some things going on that it looks like I'm going to do a little bit of work during the summer.
Little freelancing work?
A little freelancing work for some other people.
Yeah, you'll still get out the racetrack. You'll still be out there. Hey, one thing I wanted to mention, speaking of Carb, Kathy Heritage passed away this last week. Now, Kathy Heritage, she and her husband Charlie were some of the pioneers of the Carb organization when it started way back in the day. And 94 years of age, Kathy Heritage passed away this past week. Her services are today. And also, we want to put out a call to Junior Parkinson, if you're listening. His brother passed away down in Wichita Falls here this past week.
His brother's
services on March the 8th, Frankie Parkinson. Mm-hmm. So all the best to the
We're thinking
Parkinson
about you,
family.
Junior.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. All right. You want to set up this Mike Franks interview, Kurt?
We will. Mike Franks is the owner of US 36 Raceway. He built that racetrack. He's the guy that, and he's still in charge of the drag racing up at US 36 Raceway. Leased the dirt track out to John Bowler here a couple of years ago. That's
good
working
decision,
out pretty
too.
well.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
That's working out really well. But Mike Franks built this racetrack himself. The drag strip, the dirt track, everything. And it's always been one of my favorite racetracks. And Mike Franks, one of our favorite guys. And here's a portion of the conversation that Scott Traylor had with Mike Franks, owner of US 36 Raceway on Mostly Motorsports.
Mike, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good.
What year did you open up US 36?
August of 1990, I opened.
1990. Man, it seems like forever ago.
It's been 31 years. It doesn't seem like it, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know that John's been doing a great job with the dirt track over there, and I know you still go over there and give him a little bit of a hand from time to time, but that's not what we want to talk about. We want to talk about US 36 Raceway, the drag strip, and all the great things that are going on up there. I know that your season gets underway. I think you got a test and tune on April 6th, and your first big race of the year is on April 30th. I think that's the King of the 28s, No Prep. Talk about that race coming up.
Yeah, the no prep scene is kind of up and coming among especially the younger generation drag racers, the street racer guys. So that's a way to get them involved at the track rather than out on the street.
Yeah. Let me ask you, the popularity of no prep, is that a direct reflection of what we see on the Discovery Channel with the Street Outlaws? Is there a lot of what's going on in the racing scene with the no prep because of that show?
Yeah, that's brought it to the light. Yeah, I mean, it's been around obviously on the streets for a long time, but it's brought it to the forefront as far as the general public, and it evens the competition more. It's more of a tuner's game than how much horsepower can I afford. So a lot of people participate because they think they have a chance.
Yeah, yeah. We're watching video of some drag racing that took place up there at your place. I don't know what year this is, but
2018.
It's 2018. But I know that you've been doing a lot of capital improvements up there this year. I know that you've been working really hard behind the scenes to improve the drag facility. Talk about what you've been up to.
Yeah, well, we built a couple of new buildings and a new T-shirt building and storage facility deal. And the year before, we put in 400 foot of concrete in each lane. So we've really improved the racetrack, the racing surface a lot.
Yeah.
It's made a huge difference. So we have 430 foot of concrete now versus back in the old time, everybody had 60 foot of concrete, and then it was asphalt. Well, the traction level between asphalt and concrete is just a huge difference, especially in the summertime when you get 130, 40 track degree temperatures, and then the oily stuff starts coming up. It's just way better. And then we rented a grinder and ground the entire surface last year in the spring, which puts a texture in the concrete so it'll hold rubber better. Just makes it smooths it out also, but holding the rubber makes the traction level way better for the racers.
Yeah. Do you have a grudge night up there? Do you do that at all? I know that KCI
every Wednesday we have grudge test and tune from 6 to 10 every Wednesday.
Yeah, and do you get a lot of cars? Do guys listen? I'm just going to talk as an old guy, right? Back in the day, when KCIR was up and running, they used to do it. I think on Wednesdays and Fridays they would do that. And how many of those people that come out there and get a chance to race their street car against their buddy? How many of those guys make the move and want to come over there and start drag racing after they get a little bit of exposure coming up there on a grudge night?
There's a few of them. We get a lot of people tested and tuning that are street racers or building new cars. But we get several that actually don't race on the Saturday night program, but they actually are street racers, and they can go somewhere and test for different surfaces. Like sometimes they'll go to a prep surface, and actually the no prep deal, the track gets really good for the front half because everybody takes glue and pours it out and does a burnout. So actually the surface gets really, really good if you're like, 10 pairs down the line.
Right. When people come out there, your attendance, I know it's always been really good up there. You've got a good a fan base of people that like to come up there and watch the races. Do you ever see anybody come from over at the dirt track and want to come over there and start watching some of the drag racing, and then they convert from maybe the dirt track to the drag strip? Do you ever see that happen?
We have a little bit of that, not much. I mean, they'll show up sometimes to watch maybe the Super Shifters or a special event that I have.
Yeah.
But by and large, you don't really see that much.
Right.
And we have a few drag racers that show up to watch maybe the World of Outlaws sprint cars or stuff like that. You'll see. I know the Super Shifters. A bunch of them are planning on coming just to watch the World of Outlaws. And they like to schedule their events at my place where there's something special going on at the dirt track. They try to do that because a lot of those guys are circle track fans as far as spectators, but I don't see a lot of participation across. Very few.
What is about the fastest a car can run on your track up there, Mike? What's the fastest time that you've seen on your racetrack?
Oh, Tommy Johnson Jr.'s ran 360 or something like that in a top fuel car back in 1994.
Wow.
As far as a door car, I think 440 probably at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty damn fast.
Oh, that's real fast.
Yeah.
And that was like 20-some years ago, a guy named Bill Neary out of Chicago. He had a
Darren Bennett next, Kurt.
66 Nova pro-built car with a 707-inch nitrous motor in it. But drag racing, as we've seen it, you've seen the NHRA tracks go back to 1,000 foot because they weren't long enough for the shutdown. And that's true with a lot of tracks that were built back when. They didn't foresee guys going this fast, and it takes quite a bit of room to stop something when you're running that fast.
Mike Franks mentioned something I didn't know before, and that is Tommy Johnson Jr. ran a nitro car down US 36 drag strip at one time. I had no idea that happened.
It probably
That's
is
cool.
an exhibition race at some point. Yeah.
I'd like to have been there to see that.
Yeah. I remember watching a guy lose his life out at KCIR in a nitro funny car out there in the 70s one time, man. It was not good. I was down at the right at the start at the finish line, and he hit the guardrail right there at the end, and you could feel the pieces of fiberglass hit you in the face.
Oh man, I saw
terrible.
I saw a bad funny car crash at KCIR. A guy by the name of Keith Jackson, and it just disintegrated that car. How you walked out of there alive, I don't know. But there
back in the day.
Back in the day.
Was KCIR like on the NHRA schedule back in the day? Or
no. Well, not on the national schedule.
Not the national, but they were the ones
Well,
that...
that's not true.
No, they never had
in the 70s, they ran the NHRA Nationals.
No, they never had an NHRA national event at KCIR.
Well, I watched Shirley Muldowney and Big Daddy
they
Don
had,
they had all
they brought those guys
in
in exhibit like match races and things of that nature, and for the event that they had.
But I don't think it was.
They called it the AHRA back then.
Yeah,
it was a different organization.
It was a different organization, from what I remember.
You guys sure about that?
Well, I remember having a T-shirt that wasn't an NHRA T-shirt, and it was
AHRA.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
but it was all the same drivers, and then you had a few local drivers and a few.
Of course, back then they didn't have that many national events, so they all of those professional guys went on the off weekends wherever they could make money.
Wherever they could find a race.
Absolutely, because there weren't that many NHRA national events back then.
It was cool though, man. You go out there and see Shirley.
I don't think you guys are right.
Well, if it maybe early 70, but I know the whole time I was there, it wasn't.
I mean, they only had a handful of NHRA national events back.
Ask my phone.
Back 30 years ago.
You don't believe
they
it.
had Pomona, California. They had a couple of them out there. They had the U.S. Nationals at Indy, and they had a few more other events. But as the late 80s progressed and into the 90s, then the schedule grew to 23, 24 events like we see it today.
I'm looking. Just keep talking, Kurt.
So, but the AHRA was a big organization back, kind of a rival organization to NHRA.
I just remember being a different T-shirt.
Right.
And I remember people saying, hey, that's a different, it's not an NHRA T-shirt. It was a...
We went out there. We saw Big Daddy Don Garlitz and Shirley and John Force. He was out there back in his early days. Yep. And John Force at one time, if you can believe this, was the bridesmaid, the guy who couldn't win.
Couldn't win out there.
He just, he was always there, and that he had trouble winning.
He talked about that during that thing where he said
he went a long time before he even won a race, if you can believe that.
He wanted to buy, didn't he want to buy the trees, the Christmas trees or something? He wanted to, or the sign. He wanted to buy something from there.
He wanted the crossover bridge.
That's what it was.
They called him John Brute Force back in the day.
Well, I tell you, that track, when you'd go out there, it was just, I don't know, as it seemed to me, because I was younger, but it seemed like it was so far away to drive your hot rod there. So, you know, I remember I drove one, and I carted in once, and I went with a friend once to the Wednesday night grudge matches or the high school drags back in the day. They had the high school drags out there.
1967 is when that track was built.
How about that?
Are we going to have a Racing Boys studio competition at I-70 this year with our street cars?
We could do that.
Whoa, I don't know about that.
Scott just
my little 4-cylinder.
Hey, I got a 4-cylinder Kia.
We all got 4-cylinders now.
Yeah.
I got a 4-cylinder Kia.
Kirk's got a V6. He'll be cheating.
He'll be cheating.
On the dirt track?
Oh, no, the drag strip.
The drag strip.
But it's not built yet, right?
Yeah. We'll have an elimination race between the four of us.
I'll bring my Mustang out.
No, you're not bringing your Mustang.
How soon before the I-70 drag strip is up and running? When do we see that open up?
Next year, maybe?
Well, I know at the 305 race at the end of the year last year, they were starting to work on like I wouldn't say the foundation of the track because it was all leveled out, but I think they were kind of working on getting some stuff in place like stands and
it's going to be a full quarter-mile racetrack, right?
Which would be cool because
NHRA legal.
Yeah. They just don't see quarter mile. I don't know. They don't run quarter mile like.
Yeah, US 36 is an 8th mile racetrack. So we got one more interview here.
Hey, hold on a second. It operated as an NHRA-sanctioned track as early as 1968, Kirk.
That's true. But they didn't run an NHRA national event there.
Not
ever.
Not the national event. It was sanctioned.
Never a national event. AHRA national event was there, but not NHRA.
I remember the very last event they had there, they got rained out that weekend.
They mentioned AHRA there.
Yeah. The very last race they had there, it got rained out, and they did their damnedest to get that thing in. They brought in the helicopter. He drove up and down that thing to dry it off, and
those events would last all day long because the oil downs, you wouldn't see any racing on the track for an hour. They had to clean up all the oil downs that happened.
It was so crazy.
Now, how different is that today?
Yeah.
You don't see that today.
No.
They get the NHRA safety safari at these national events, and they don't have as many oil downs as they had.
No.
And if you do have an oil down,
you get penalized.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow,
so
how about that?
it is amazing how far they've come in far as packaging the whole program. You can go through the total eliminations now in about 3 hours.
Well, I'd like to see
at the most now, where it used to be, it'd take you all day. You'd show up in the morning and you'd be there till after dark.
Yeah.
What time does the races start this weekend? And where are they at? NHRA.
They are at Wild Horse Raceway down at Phoenix, Chandler, Arizona, just south of Phoenix.
They had some snow this last week down there in Arizona too.
Right.
So
and the
Kirk, that racetrack was built in 67.
67,
Yeah.
right. They
You
had
said 68.
No, he said
No, I said
67. I said I was born in 68. so it was a year
is that
after.
what I was listening to? I was reading. I'm sorry.
That's all good.
Anyway, FS1 is carrying the eliminations this weekend and some of the qualifying shows. I think 6 o'clock tomorrow night is when you'll see eliminations. Last night they had first round of qualifying, and you had Connie Coletta's car, but Doug Coletta behind the wheel. Alan Johnson is the new crew chief over there at Coletta Racing for Doug Coletta. And watch this guy. He's going to challenge for the championship, see if he can stop Steve Torrance's 4-year run as champion up there. Torrance not off to the greatest start this year, so I'm thinking we're going to see a new
Coletta coming out of retirement to run for the championship?
No, Doug Coletta's been running every year, but he's got a new crew chief, Alan Johnson, who has won a ton of championships for different drivers.
No chance they win the championship this year.
I think there is a chance.
No
that they can
chance
win
at
it.
all.
With Alan Johnson tuning that race car,
it takes time as a team to gel.
Yeah, but they've been running every year. He's not coming back. He's been Doug Coletta's.
But has he been his crew chief for those years?
No.
Okay, that's why I say no.
But in this case, I don't think it's going to take him very long to get things. And already they were the number 1 qualifier in Top Fuel last night. 3.657
I'm going to say he's not going to win, just like you say that Kyle Larson's not going to win at Daytona.
I think Doug Coletta has a real shot at winning the
We're throwing
championship
jabs
this
today.
year in Top Fuel. I really believe that.
That happens from time to time.
Now, Robert Height, who was in the final last week with Ron Capps. Capps won the final last week, but, actually, Robert Height won the final last week down at Pomona, and now he's going to go for 2 in a row for John Force Racing. And did you see that final last week at Pomona where Crew Guy was putting down the body on the car after the burnout, and as he was moving up, getting the body down, the car lunged to the
ran into him,
knocked him down.
It wasn't that bad, though.
And then
You make it sound like it's a lot worse than it was. I watched it the other day. It wasn't that bad.
If you watch the video on it, look at the guy standing at the back of the car. So when the throttle opens up, it blows out the exhaust and it ripped the guy's crew shirt off.
Oh, it did?
It blew a hole out the side of it.
No
I'll
kidding.
try and find it here.
I didn't see that right at the start, but
interesting.
But Ron Capps, they barely got his car to the starting line because they couldn't even do the warm up. Something wasn't right getting the car ready to go, and so he was late getting to the line. So a little bit of drama there between Ron Capps, the defending and now 2-time Funny Car champion, was in the final with Robert Height. Height winning. And in Pro Stock, Erica Enders going for her second straight. She won last week at Pomona. She's 4-time champion of Pro Stock. So anyway, we'll follow that action at Phoenix this weekend for the NHRA.
Kirk, you want to set up our last interview?
I can. Let's see. We have
Darren Bennett.
Darren Bennett. He is the new general manager at Lakeside Speedway. And Scott Traylor spoke with him about what's coming up in 2022 as he gears up to take over the reins out there at Lakeside Speedway. And here is that conversation on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week.
Darren, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, buddy. How's things going for you out there at Lakeside? I know you've been working your tail off, haven't you?
I have. We've been hard at it, trying to get things lined up and kind of waiting for the weather to break so we can move outside and get some of that stuff done.
You know, I know you have an open practice on April 8th and the 15th, but your season opener is April 22nd. Is that a little bit later than you've normally started? Lakeside is normally started out there?
Yeah, it's probably a week later, and I don't really know the reason behind that. That's kind of what was already set, and I just kind of went with it. I'm going to probably go 1 week later into October than normal. I may even throw a show at the end of October, something open, a paying show or something. But just kind of went with what we had already had in place. Didn't want to make a bunch of big changes, but I do think I'm going to throw something in at the end of the year, just something that kind of represents the old Jayhawk or something like that.
Oh man, they used to have the Pepsi Challenge. Do you remember that? I don't know how old are you? Do you mind me asking?
52.
I don't know. I don't know if you remember the old Lakeside Speedway. Did you go to the old Lakeside Speedway at all when you were a kid?
Not much. A couple times. Not much.
They used to have a race once a year. It paid $1,000 to win, and it was the Pepsi Challenge. And every year, Kenny King would win that race. Just about every year. For whatever reason, he was just so good, and it was like a 50-lap race, and it just slick off. And I think one time I was told that he put reverse stagger on his car so it would work on the dry slick stuff back there at the old Lakeside Speedway. But those were the days, and it sounds like that's what you're trying to build up is some kind of the Jayhawk was a big race, right? It was always a giant race. Didn't you guys take a year or two off from the Jayhawk out there at Lakeside?
We did, and I don't know the reason behind that. I tell you, Scott, I'm going to bring stuff like that back. 2-day shows, and I'm going to do some stuff that kind of is trying to help the A-mods. I don't know, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but if I'm still going to focus on my B-mods as well. But I'm going to have some big pan shows for them. But more than anything, the 2-day shows out here, just, at the end of the year. I used to have so much fun at that Jayhawk, and I even reached out to Mark Olson. I said, before I name it the Jayhawk again, who has the rights, or where did that come from?
Right.
Because I didn't want to be using something I didn't have the rights to. But and Mark said, no, it's just the name that I come up with, and I told him that's probably what I was going to do. So
yeah,
I hope I can put that together. That's I got a big paying B-Mod show that I have not announced or put on the schedule yet, but it's going to be a 5,000 to win B-Mod show.
Wow.
I'm just trying to time it, to where it's not around the Nationals or I don't want to step on anybody's feet like Johnny Allen or none of them. I'm trying to be respectful in that manner, but I'm going to bring some shows back to this place.
Right. I know there was and you don't have to comment on this if you don't want to, but I know there was a rumor going around that they were thinking about shortening up Lakeside Speedway. Is there any truth to that rumor, and is that something that could happen down the road?
It's definitely something that could happen. We're looking at different options of, the cost, obviously, I can't really shorten the whole racetrack. I'd have to just focus on the north end of it, towards the pits, because I don't want to mess with the terrace stuff. But it's something we've sat down and talked about. We're considering it. Lakeside's known for the big fast half mile, so half of me says, man, am I going to hurt that? But these guys don't want to race on these big tracks as much anymore, so it's a tough decision. I think the car count would come back quite a bit with a shorter racetrack, but that's a tough decision. This been known for this for a long time, and I hate to go in and stir something up. And then, if I was to do something like that, it's got to be right. It can't be a failure, and that just scares me.
There's a lot on the line if you do that, right?
Right, correct.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to give you my vote, and my vote doesn't matter to squat, right? But I say leave it alone. And the reason I say that is because there's not many racetracks like Lakeside Speedway, big sweeping corners. I get it that some of the guys don't want to run out there because it costs a little bit more to run out there than maybe some of the shorter tracks. But we don't have many big tracks left out there, right? I mean, we don't see Sedalia racing weekly anymore. We don't see any of the big half miles, Topeka, their half miles closed down. We just don't see it. I-70 is pretty fast. I mean, it's a pretty fast place, but I just think that Lakeside is so unique and it races so good. And when you have big national events come in there, I think the racing's fabulous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm so torn between this, but, I don't know. There's many other things I want to do right now to improve the facility outside of shortening the racetrack. So, it's not something I'm waking up thinking about every day. I just I'm going to do what's best for this place and what I can do with my ability and hopefully turn a few things around.
All right, there you have it. That was Darren Bennett earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports. Again, you can listen to Mostly Motorsports Monday through Friday at 12 noon Central Time. You can watch it live on our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, or racingboys.com. And as soon as the show is over, we pull the show down, and then if you want to watch it or listen to it, the replay, you can do that wherever you find your favorite podcast.
I think he makes some pretty smart comments there about the possibility of shortening Lakeside Speedway. And
well, first of all, you can't do it the way that they're talking about doing it.
That's right, and it's not as easy as it sounds.
No.
When you talk in terms of the whole infrastructure of Lakeside, you got the terrace parking already set up there. I mean, it'd take an incredible amount of money to reconfigure that whole facility to shorten up that racetrack.
Well, the problem is if they try to use 1 and 2 the way it is right now, that would be a huge sweeping corner for a little quarter-mile racetrack.
Yeah.
First of all.
Just do it like Sedalia and just cut it on, like I know Sedalia is a mile, but just cut it on the front stretch and just have a little quarter mile on the front stretch.
Well,
that's what I say.
Because I'll be honest with you, if they make it a small track, why would I go there and race when I can go race at Lucas, let's say a CMS or a Humboldt,
Double X.
There's no sense in me going to race Lakeside.
You want to race on a big track once in a while, don't you?
Yeah, but here's
I'll just go
here-
race Knoxville then. There's no sense in me going to race Lakeside at a small track.
You
That's
just-
not what Lakeside is.
You just need an excuse to go to Knoxville. Is what you need.
No, 'cause I want to race Lakeside. I like Lakeside.
But here-
I do too. Yeah, me too.
Here's the problem with cutting in a quarter-mile racetrack on the inside of the existing, big racetrack is that it's in a floodplain. That area in the infield floods. And it's not the best conditions to put anything in that infield,
Well, then if you
let
look
alone
at it
a
too,
new
like
racetrack.
in the springtime, how often do you see the infield flood or not?
A lot.
Just wet, big
Just
old pond
wet
down there.
Yeah, right. It caused more rainouts, wouldn't it?
For sure.
Yeah, no
So
doubt.
I think that Darren Bennett makes some good comments that it's not an easy thing.
Don't
to
do
even
it. Is what I'm.
do it.
My
Yeah.
vote is don't do it. That's what I'm going to say. Hey, and you know
say
that
not.
Grant Youngin race that pays $15,000 to win.
That's
Did you know
a
that?
huge event.
It's a big payday.
Got rained out this past year, and it's going to be. They changed the date on that too, right?
They did.
It's a little more.
It used to be in like October.
It's
now
going to be
in
in June right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a huge event. Of course, it has been a big event every time they've had it at Lakeside Speedway, but it was at the time of the year where weather's been a big problem. It certainly was a problem last year, so it's going to have a good date, and that's going to be a huge event, no doubt.
Yep, for sure. All right, well, folks, we want to thank everybody that tuned in to today's show, and we want to thank all of our guests that were on with us this week. That's just a portion of the people that were on, right? That's not everybody. We have 2 guests a day on just about every day.
We bringing them hot and heavy.
Yeah, and getting a lot of great guests. But we want to thank the people that were on today's show with us. Devin Moran, Brian Dunlap, Sam Haferty, Bob Baker, Emerson Axum, Mike Franks, and Darren Bennett for being a part of the show, as well as Lee Spencer coming on live with us.
You're going to have a big week of guests coming up.
Yeah.
The Outlaws, kind of a bummer. They got rained out this weekend. They were supposed to be at the Rev last night. Magnolia Motor Speedway last night.
And the
Rev
Rev
was
tonight.
supposed to have been tonight.
Rained out, both.
So rained out, so they're getting ready for Cotton Bowl Speedway next weekend, and that's where they'll be. So, we were all geared up to watch Outlaw racing this
Lovania,
weekend.
are they still racing down there tonight?
Tonight.
Yeah, with the
Extreme Late
Extreme
Model
Dirt-
Series.
Dirt
and
Car Series.
You can watch that on Dirt Vision tonight. So.
All right.
Other than that, there isn't much going on. California, Fontana, going to be a full day of activity at the big 2-mile racetrack out at Fontana today. Xfinity race at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And tomorrow afternoon, the Cup Series, I think 1:30 Central, 2:30 Central Time.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, folks, for tuning in to the show. It's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We want to thank Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB for hour number 1. I also want to thank Austin for his hard work all week long. He's in here 6 days a week. And my old buddy Todd Surprise for coming in and helping us yesterday and today. My partner Kirk Elliott. I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. I hope that you'll join us Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time, mostly motorsports. And you can watch it right here where you're watching it currently, watching Track Talk here on Saturday mornings. Again, for everybody at Racing Boys, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.